Just closing your eyes, just becoming fully present in this space, and just really allowing yourself to fully be here. Sometimes we can make life so hard, but I'm clear that's not how it's meant to be. So whatever stories you have going on in your head, don't make them bad or wrong, but just let them go. It's okay. It's okay to let it all go. There's literally nothing you need to hold on to. So just letting go of all the past. I really do mean letting go of all of it. I know our mind has stories sometimes. Brett, you don't know what I've done in the past. How can I possibly let go of that? That's the very reason you need to let go of it, because there's something that you're holding against yourself. And when we talk about letting go of the future, we're talking about letting go of all the worries of fear of what might happen, which I think we all know most of the time doesn't even happen. What if you were perfect? What if you were completely whole right here, right now, in this moment? And your mind might conjure up something to say, well, I need to heal this, or I need to do that, or I need... Can you just let all of that go? Just let all of that go. Life is so juicy and full and complete right now in this very moment. And it's okay, your mind might tell you otherwise. That's fine, let it say whatever it wants to say. You be the witness to the words that it says. You be the witness to the thoughts. You be the witness to the feelings. You be a witness to life without needing to fix or change any of it. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just inviting you to try that on and see how that feels in your heart. Sometimes we're so caught in needing to fix ourselves, fix others, fix the world in all of its craziness and calamities. But what if the world, what if life, what if God is giving everyone exactly what they need, exactly when they need it? What if? And it doesn't mean that changes won't take place. But when we allow life and God to flow through us and with us, or rather us with life and God, we find that peace is possible right now in this moment and every single moment. So if there's anything that you're feeling you need to fix about yourself, fix about others, fix about the world, I'm simply inviting you to notice that, be aware of it, and allow it to just gently pass on by. All those things we've been looking for, peace, joy, love, God. What if you are already that? Would you be willing to just try that on and see what that feels like? And whatever your mind has to say about it, let it say it. Again, you be the witness of what it has to say. And before we finish this meditation, if there's any stress, any worries, any burdens whatsoever you're carrying them, I'm inviting you to let that go right now. and just sink into love, sink into peace, sink into joy and gratitude, sink into God itself. And you see if you're not enough. Namaste. Is it okay for me to be up here right now, Annie? Okay. Checking with you. Happy New Year, everybody. I've been busy with lots of talks, libraries, and other places, churches throughout the state, and it's been great. And I officially took partial retirement, and I'm not working in the food industry anymore, and I'm just focusing my time on speaking and doing what I love to do. So I'm very grateful about that. The title of the talk today is Staying as the Awareness. And I'm quite certain, I've spoken here a lot of times, I'm quite certain you're going to hear things that you've heard, but I'm asking you to just connect with the vibration of what's being said, because I'm getting more and more clear of this perfection of the moment, the perfection of life that we tend to fight so hard against, and it's so here to support us. But in order to feel that, to be that, we have to get clear on what awareness truly is. And I want to start by saying awareness is not a mental process. It's not a mental process. It's a process of more of a beingness and allowing life to be as it is and being a compassionate witness to that. Sometimes when we talk about being aware, we talk about, yeah, I'm aware. Like I usually use the example of somebody cutting out in front of you with their car because it irritates pretty much all of us. I know it does me. And so when that happens, we might have the awareness that this guy's an idiot, you know? We might have that awareness. But we also might have another thought that comes along with it that says, well, Brett, you're not being very loving. That wasn't very spiritual. And then we might have another thought that kicks in that says, well, maybe he had a bad day or whatever. And so we try to counterbalance it. And meanwhile, it's all coming from the head and not from the heart. So there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not belittling trying to correct ourselves. We all have good intentions, but what I'm saying is there's two ways of being aware. One is having the awareness, but there's still some judgment there. That's still coming from your personal point of view, that idea of who you think you are. It's still coming from that space. And there's another awareness, and that is the awareness of being aware of that other part of you, the person that's aware. Do you see the difference what I'm saying? There's the awareness that still has the judgment that's still coming from the person, the small self, and then there's the deeper awareness that is being aware of the person being aware. And that's your compassionate witness, the one that is allowing your experience to be exactly the way it is and not needing to change it. So when we talk about staying as the awareness, what I have found is that, when I first started discovering the power of that I am not my thoughts, and actually, let me just touch base on that just a little bit right now. Our thoughts are always coming and going, right? They're fleeting. We might have moments of happiness, but they're fleeting unless we're coming from that place within ourselves. All things are fleeting. Our thoughts are fleeting. And we believe the thought and we have a feeling, that's fleeting. We have perceptions, those are fleeting. Our bodies will come and go. Our mind will eventually go. Everything will come and go with the exception of one thing. and that is you. That is that second awareness that we're referring to, the one that is always aware. Now, in awareness, a lot of times we get caught by talking about acceptance, because sometimes when we're saying that we're the compassionate witness, we might have a thought that says, I don't like this experience. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to accept that thought and accept that experience. Only there might be the witness, the first witness that says, no, I don't want to accept this. This isn't okay. Is that thought bad or wrong? No, it's just another thought. Because sometimes we get caught in that we have to correct our thinking or we have to have right thinking. I don't care personally whether you have right or wrong thinking. If you're being a compassionate witness to it, it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? It's like, and I was teaching at the Northville Library the other day, and somebody was saying, how, when she's having her thoughts, her therapist was saying about, correcting her thinking, and that's okay. If it serves her, if she finds a difference, I said, then use it if it finds a difference. But from my perspective, if you're busy trying to correct your thinking, you're believing the thinking is true in the first place, right? Right? This is important because we're so busy trying to correct our thinking or having right thinking. But if you recognize that you are not the thinker of the thoughts, those thoughts are being presented to you by consciousness, actually bringing them forth to you to bring awareness of a false identification. And you hear a lot of teachers talk about, well, not a lot, but occasionally you hear about the three forces of nature called the gunas, three gunas. And the gunas are tamas, sattva, and rajas. And these gunas are always working with you. Tamas is kind of the Christ energy. It's the trilogy, actually, the three gunas. It's the Christ energy, and that is the destroyer, the destroyer of false identity. And so what we have is we have this experience in life where the tamas energy is going through the suffering of the world. Like, oh my God, life is so hard. We've all been there. We've all done it because it's taken us here. Where we get to the point and say, enough. There's got to be something greater than all this crazy suffering that I'm doing. And there's, you may have heard Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. It's a long name to say. He was speaking to some of his students, and one of his students raised his hand and he said, Master, he said, I just love all your words and they're so beautiful, but I'm still experiencing suffering. And he said, no, you are not experiencing suffering. You are suffering the experience. Right? Because there's nothing bad or wrong. One person can have the same exact experience and they can be in joy and flowing with it. Whereas another person said, oh my God, are you kidding me? This has happened 9 times in the last month here. I can't stand it. I can't take it anymore. That's the tamas energy. That's the energy of the suffering because we're making it more difficult, we're fighting against it, and that's all good. I have no judgment about it. It's simply the pattern of life that walks us through this until we say, enough is enough, I want more. And that more is when sattva kicks in, and sattva begins to say, how do I bring in, and sattva represents the Holy Spirit, where the Holy Spirit begins to come in and brings you love and harmony and health and peace and joy. And you begin to see that there's something greater. And then you have the rajas energy, which is of the Father energy. And that energy will actually, it will expand on whatever your experience you're having. If you're in the tamas energy and you're in the suffering, it will intensify that. And if you're in the sattva energy for health and harmony, it will intensify that. So we go through these experiences, and I'm telling you this because we have to get to this point. Like Eckhart Tolle said, the luxury of there's no longer a luxury of awakening. We have to awaken. I don't know if that's really fair to say, but I want you to get a sense of the urgency. It has to happen. There's this awakening taking place. We get to be a part of it if we want to be a part of it. And there's, of course, the question whether humanity will make it through it. I'm a big believer in miracles, and I think if there's enough of us that can awaken and shift consciousness on there, all things are possible. That's how I feel. And so these energies coming in, the three gunas, are here as a support to bring all these thoughts in your head that you have believed are yours, that are you, and we have identified with that, and that's fine. That's the game of life. But now we get to stop identifying that we're not good enough. We get to identify that we're not a mean bastard out there. Sometimes I might be, but we identify with all these things. And so the three gunas that are coming from consciousness are all here to bring this up to the surface, to help us to get to that point. First of all, to come to a place of, harmony and health and joy, but ultimately to come back to that simple, conscious awareness of all of it. So awareness, staying as the awareness, is this beautiful process of really just allowing all the thoughts to show up. When I'm teaching meditation, one of the biggest things I hear out there is like, I don't know how to really meditate very good because I don't know how to still the mind. Stop trying to still the mind. You don't have to still the mind. The stilling of the mind happens when you stop fighting against it and you become aware of it, and you become aware that it's not you in the first place. Do you see that? There doesn't have to be this incredible struggle when you are being in the awareness. Now, again, you might have this thought, this awareness, like this thing is happening. I'm supposed to accept it. I'm supposed to surrender to it, It's just as powerful sometimes as if you acknowledge and have the awareness, I can't accept this. That is part of acceptance as well. I sometimes use an example. I'll get up in the morning and I'm just feeling grumpy, and I'm like, look, we've all done workshops, we've read books, we've heard all these things. And so we begin to pull all of our tools out of the bag, right? It's like, I am not liking this experience. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out of this experience. And sometimes something I'm resisting, and there's stress there, and I just can't get out of my grumpiness. So the only thing I know to do at that time is, can I just simply accept the grumpiness? This is my experience. Why make it bad or wrong? And in the acceptance of that, there's still peace, right? But we have to play the full gamut here. We can't just accept those things that we like or love. We have to accept the things that the mind says, I don't want it to be this way. That's just as important as any of it. And it all stems from conscious awareness. Now, when we're sleeping, we can acknowledge we don't know what's going on in the world. We don't know anything because we're asleep. There's no conscious awareness in that moment unless you have a lucid dream. But otherwise, you're dreaming. There's no conscious awareness there. Similarly to things happen in our life, conscious awareness has to be there in order for us to have any experiences whatsoever. Like thoughts, feelings, perceptions, our body, physically, mentally, emotionally, none of those things can be aware of us, but we can be aware of all of those things. We don't need any of those things, but they all need conscious awareness to exist. That's the only way they can exist. And there's nothing wrong with any of it existing if you recognize it is simply not the truth. And that's what is meant by Maya, the grand illusion. It's we're caught in this dream of life, thinking that it's all real. And there's a quote by Dan Millman. I love Dan Millman. He wrote The Way of the Peaceful Warrior and several other books, really good books. They're all fictional books, but there's just great wisdom in there, and he teaches from that perspective. But one of the things I remember him saying in there, he said, am I a man dreaming I'm a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming I'm a man? It's just a dream. We've conjured up this whole dream with God in an attempt to get us to understand that we've been living an illusion. And the more we can grasp onto that truth, then the more we can wake up from the illusion and say, we were never anything physical. This body, like I said, the body and the mind is going to go, right? Someday it's going to go. Is there something left after that leaves? That's the question. And so we can have all these thoughts. We have these thoughts like, I'm frustrated. The I teaching is a beautiful, beautiful teaching when you hear yourself saying, you hear your mind saying, I am, and it's followed by anything. Because we're only the I am, the sheer isness and the beingness of who we are. It's just I am. But we throw in there, I am frustrated, I am mean, I am hungry, I am cold. Those are functions of the body. The body is hungry, yes. The body might be cold. Who is the one that is aware that the body's hungry? Who is the one that is aware that the body is cold? Who is the one that is aware that the mind is frustrated? Who is the one that is aware of the thought or the belief, I am not enough? For any of those thoughts or feelings or opinions or beliefs or self-images to exist, they can only exist because there's something that is aware of them. That's the only way. But if you can be aware of them without making them bad or wrong, guess what? You've just discovered peace, right? Peace is always possible. It's always possible. It's only when we make the experience into a problem that, where we're suffering the experience. That's the only way. But so how do you come to this place of not suffering, of not being stressed? You simply allow the thoughts, allow the feelings, allow the perceptions, allow the experiences to present themselves, and you be the witness to them. Now, if you're still having judgment about that, notice that and just say, oh, okay, I notice I'm still judging that, and be a witness to the one that is the witness but is still judging. How we doing? Did I lose anybody on that? Is everybody following? And if there's questions, I'm okay to even take them now, because I want, look, this is 2023. The world's falling apart in so many ways, in some ways, right? I mean, everything is intensifying, everything is quickening, and I believe everybody in here has the capacity to flow with life and step into something greater, this greater truth of who they are. And that means just simply becoming aware that it's all perfect. That life and God are giving each of us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. So I want to leave with this. This title is called Staying in the Awareness. When you're caught in stress, notice that you're buying into something that the mind is telling you that is not true. That's what stress is. You're buying into something that is not true. So if you notice, like, I'm feeling kind of stressed, just notice, take a step back and just allow it to be, and just be aware. Because if there's a stress, what is it that is aware of the stress? If there's a problem, what is it that is aware of the problem? That's you. You are the awareness of all of it. Now, I do want to say this. I started to say it earlier. When you get to this point where you're aware of all of this and these thoughts, they fall away very quickly because you go, that's not true. I know that's not true. You're trying to reel me in, but I recognize this is just another thought or belief of the mind. Thank you for sharing. I'm just going to come back to the moment, come back to the awareness. So what happens is you end up just all these things, you allow these thoughts to come in, you welcome them in. Why wouldn't you? Because they're there to be released. They're helping you to become aware of something that you are not. So there's an actual gratitude for all the thoughts. But then you get to the point where you start looking for them, like, oh, I'm going to look for where am I out of skew? And it's okay. I do a check-in regularly on that. Like before I go to bed, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm carrying a little something. Let me just check in. I'll do an awareness. But then come back to keeping your focus on that beingness of who you are. Because sometimes when you get to the point where you're just being aware of all the thoughts and everything and all the stress is going on, it's wonderful to get to that point, but you don't want to stay in that where you're not experiencing the pure beingness of who you are, because you don't want to go looking for trouble, right? Life will give you what you need. You don't have to look for, really, and quite frankly, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix. You can spend a whole lifetime on healing things to fix as if they're a problem. That's all this illusion coming from your head, not from your heart. Because you can heal 10 issues, and I assure you there will be at least another 10 waiting for you after that and beyond. Because if you're focused on healing the issues, you're focusing on healing the person, your small self, not the truth of who you are that is already whole and complete. So I've used this example before, but to me it's a potent example, and that is a lot of people are trying to cut the branches of the tree off as if they're issue by issue, when all you need to do is pull the tree out from the root. That means when you are being conscious aware of these so-called problems, they're no longer a problem. You can have whatever problem your mind says you have or your person has. Why do you need to fix it? Come back to the moment. Come back to who you are. That's all that's needed to be in the awareness and the pure beingness that is everything that you've been looking for. Everything. I think I'm going to leave it there. Namaste.